Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing great. So recently I was helping one of my friend in building an invoice web page and I thought why don't we build it together, right? So that's what we are going to do today. We will be building this invoice page. So it's an invoicing web page, right? Where a user or the admin can see that how many what amount of payment he has received and what is pending, what is into draft, and which user have paid it and which not. And yeah, it's just a very simple layout, right? Simple and effective. So we will be building this and we will see how to do it with semantic HTML and all. And we will also have this sidebar, right? So which have some other links and few support links, right? And this hamburger which will let us open and close the sidebar. But one thing that I have often seen is that people say that in order to achieve this behavior of opening and closing a sidebar on a click, you need to use JavaScript, because otherwise how are you going to capture the event of click, right? But that's not true. You can achieve this behavior purely just with CSS. Well, you see, HTML and CSS are pretty underrated as a skill and also as what they can do on their own, right? So we will be building this with pure CSS. So let's get into it. So the first thing we will do is we will make a folder. So first I'll have to get inside my desktop, and there I will make a folder called invoice page YouTube. All right, you can name it whatever you want. So this is the folder, and let's go inside that folder. Invoice page YouTube. Now over here I will make two files, right? This is the folder invoice page YouTube, and now we will make two folders. The first one will be index.html and the second one will be index.css. Alright, we are good to go. Let's open this folder in VS Code, and we will see that VS Code will open this folder and we'll start writing our code. Yeah, so if we try to analyze the entire application first, I don't think it will be very much difficult. Anything will be too much of difficulty there, but yeah, it's doable. We will be able to do it. So let's just get it done. So here we are in our VS Code, and here is our HTML file. So let's just get started with the basic doc type structure, the HTML5 doc type structure. There we have it, and we will change the title to, or let's say we will call it quick pay, because that's what it is. Yeah, it's QPay. Let's call it QPay. All right. Let me just close this terminal because we don't need it anymore. Okay. Now inside body, what we will do is we will build everything inside body. So let's just have a div inside body, right? Just a normal div, nothing else. So this entire thing is the main that div. Okay. And let's make sure that our HTML is being shown on the page. So copy this path, copy path, and open this up in the browser. Here we have it, hello HTML, right? And let's just also add the CSS. So if I make the body background to red, okay, it's not red. Why? Because we haven't yet added or specified the link relationship style sheet. Okay, we need to tell the HTML that where does our style lies. So it's dot slash, it's in the same folder, and it's called index.css. And now we have our background in red color. So just get rid of this, because now we know that it is working. Let's move on. So the first thing that I see over here is that, so basically this main, I will take it as main element. Okay, and this covers the entire page, and this one, I think it's absolute, right? Because it has to be absolute, otherwise it won't we won't be able to do it. Because with absolute position, what happens, it overcomes the normal flow of the page. It comes on the z axis, it comes above on the z axis instead of being on the x or y axis. So what do I mean by that is, if you go to Vision Mat, and in our HTML CSS curriculum we have this chapter of positioning, right? And here you will see this diagram. Yeah, you see this one. So what's happening here, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, right? And the z-axis goes right through your screen. It comes out perpendicular to your screen. Okay, imagine a line coming out of your screen. That's the z-axis. All right, and the position of an element on that axis decides what element will be shown above and what element will be shown backwards. So that's what's happening here. This must be a absolute, so that it's come above the main page, and when we toggle it, it is shown above all the other things on the page, right? So let's start building with this sidebar. Okay, so for this sidebar I will use the aside tag. As I said, we will be using semantic HTML. So, and yes, just by naming it aside, it won't put this element automatically on the side. We still have to do it with CSS, right? I used to think like that when I was learning HTML, and that's hilarious. Okay, so we have this aside tag, and then we have our main tag, right? This main tag is everything that page have, and this aside tag is the sidebar. Okay, so let's start building it. So this is going to be the only aside tag on the page, so I will just address it as a side. I will use the type selector aside, and we will define its width and height. So width, I think the width we will be taking as 250 pixels, and the height will be 100 vh. So 100 vh will make it take the entire height of the available window. All right, just like it is right over here, no more and no less than that. With that, we will set the background, and the background here is blue violet. Okay, and let's check this one out. Okay, nothing happened. Why is it that? We haven't saved our HTML file, so it does not know that we have an aside tag over here yet. Yeah, we have it now here. All right, we started pretty well, but the problem here is that on this side and on the top of this sidebar, you see that there are some empty space. And why is it that? It's not in this page, but it is there. So that's the default padding or margin of the Chrome browser. Every browser have its default settings, right? And on which every browser works. So for that, we ideally we should use something called CSS reset, which will reset all the default settings and you can define your own settings, right? So that it's same across all browsers. But we won't be going into CSS reset over here because I want to point out few things that's there and I want to work with them. I want to tackle them on my own. So what we will do is we will go at the body, because body is the main container of the entire page, and we will say that margin and sorry margin 0 and padding 0. We save it, and if I refresh now, you see that empty space is gone because it was the default of the browser. I overwrite it and it's fine now. This looks pretty decent. Nice one. So with that, let's move on and actually start writing the content of the sidebar. So sidebar have something, this thing, I think it's an H. Okay. So if we have the positioning right, okay, okay, or let's say relative, no, it's of course not. It's by default it's relative. So if we do it absolute, it will resolve the issue because now its width is this much, height is this much, and it's absolute. Now it's above the page. Whatever you write on the main page, it won't show up here because it's above. That content will hide behind the sidebar. Okay, so for example, if I just type something over here, anything gibberish, if I type, just type and just type and just type and just type long enough that we can see it. You see half of it only shows here because other half is hiding over here behind this thing, right? So that's how it works. It came above the page on the z axis. So take help of this diagram, it will let you know how it's working. Okay, so we have QPay, and moving ahead we need these things now. All right, so let's get it done. QPay, then we have a UL, and with how many LIs? 1 2 3 4 5 LI. It's home, company, what else? Perks, of course, who will work without perks? Legal, and payments. There we go. And another thing we need is the support UL. So one more UL we will go, and I will write over here get help, and over here we have chat with us. Okay, there we go. Now if we look at it, so here we have it. So yes, you see it's bullet points, it came in bullet points because that's the default style of the UL. So we need to handle that. First of all, whatever we have inside, we need to have it a specific color because the sidebar is blue violet, will have the color as pure white. There we go. So now what we can do is aside, and we'll say the UL inside aside. There what we have to do is, or actually not UL, yeah, UL and then the LI in there. Okay, so here what we need to do is list style. So basically here we can define what your list style will be. Right now it's bullet point, you can define it as number, as, and you can actually add an image over here or anything. There are different options, and we have this covered on our course, on our Vision Mat free HTML CSS course. This is entirely free. The entire curriculum is right over here. All right. Yeah, let's move on. List style, I will say none. Let's reload it. What none will do, it will just remove all the bullet points the way we want it. And now we need to have these icons with all these lists. So for icons, we will be using something called Font Awesome, and we will be using the Font Awesome CDN. What a CDN is? It's a content delivery network, right? What that simply means is that you see, to use this CSS file, we linked it in our HTML, right? And we told it that this is where our CSS file lies, the href, okay? And that's exactly what we are going to do with Font Awesome. Font Awesome, see, the CSS file of Font Awesome lies on the browser, and we will just link it from there, okay? Here we have it. You see, it's the same thing. The link relation is style sheet, and the href is defined over here. There is nothing more to it. And there are few more attributes here, the integrity and cross origin. Those are for security reasons, but for this project we don't have to consider them. Let's keep the Font Awesome open, and we will add that link over here, style sheet, and here is our link. So this is the CSS, this is where the CSS lies. Okay, even if I show you just by going to that link, this was the CDN link, and here is the CSS file of Font Awesome. You see, it's huge. It's not appropriate and efficient to keep it uh, on our simple HTML CSS project. So it's already lying there. So why don't just we use it from here? So that's what we have done. Just link to that CSS, and now we can actually use it. So let's go to Font Awesome and search for icons. So the icon that I want is home, right? Because that's what it is there, a home icon. There we have it, home. And if we check how it uses an I element, I tag, to define it. Basically it's just a text, right? It's all text. That's how they have made it. So we can use it as normal text, like we can set the font size over here, the font weight over here, and a lot of other things we can do, everything that you can do with a normal text, right? So let's just get it over here. There we go. And we'll put this into a span. And similar to div, it just, this is just an inline element. It does not start on a new line. So there we go. We should have a home over here. Okay, it's on QP. No, not there. We want it on the list, not on the QP. Okay, let's get it finished. We need it on every list. All right, let's just add it here also. Okay, now if you see over here, all of them have the home icon. Well, that's not ideal. We want different icons. So we'll just change the name. So you can just go over here and you can search for the icon that you want, and you copy this and you will get that icon, because you have already used the, you have already linked the CSS of Font Awesome. So I know what they are named, so I'll just use them. Building for the company, to show a company. For perks, I will be using dollar sign, and for legal, we have file contract, and for payments, we have credit card. Okay, and for get help, we have a headset, and for chat with us, we have, let's show it with comment. Now if we check over here, all right, they all have different icons. That's awesome. Because it's font awesome. Okay, moving ahead. Well, one thing that I notice is all of them are aligned vertically. All of them starts from the same line, right? But that's not the case in our over here. We see they are not aligned. They are aligned by the images but not by the text. So what we can do is we can add some right add some space for the icons on the right so that all of them are aligned from there. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if I just inspect it, okay, so let's try to inspect it. Yeah, there we have it. And if I just give it all of them a padding of right, okay, and I say 5 pixel, so you see, no, not a padding, because padding 5 pixel will be relative to each one of them, so it will still not be aligned. So we can, yeah, we can make the width of all of them equal. Okay, yeah, we can do that. So let's just get rid of it. So I want width to be, let's say, 4 pixel, no, 8 pixel, 10 pixel, 15 pixel. Yeah, now you see they are aligned. They are very much aligned. Okay, pretty cool alignment right over there. Hmm. Okay, so yes, that's what we have to do. We have to set the width of each icon so that they start, the text start from the same line. So that's what we are going to set now. So we have these classes over here. So FAS is the class that's everywhere, so we can use that. Okay, so inside UL, so inside us, so first we have aside, then we have UL, and then we have LI, and within every LI we have an class called FAS. Okay, and I want the width here to be, let's say, 30 pixel. And now let's check this out. You see now they are all aligned. So I think the width is a little bit less. Let's get it 40 pixel. How much is it there? Let's just check it out instead of wasting time here and there. Mm, 50 pixel. Okay, let's get it 50 pixel. There we have it, 50 pixel. Now the next problem that I have is these are starting from somewhat off. Like it's not, it doesn't begin from right over here. Okay, because I don't know why. Because I already said that every browser have their default settings. So it might be a default setting of this browser, but we can check it out. We can see what's the problem over here. So this is the LI, and or it's not the problem of LI, because LI is completely fine. It's the problem of UL. You see, UL have some kind of padding, I think it is. Okay, so let's check the styles of UL. it's this one. You see, it's 40 pixel from the start. It's padding of 40 pixel. Okay, and here you can see that it's 40 pixel padding on the left side, and which is coming from here, padding inline start. So let's just set it to 0, and that will be set on UL. So aside have a UL where we will set padding inline start to 0, and now it should just move to the left. Boom, it's done. It moved to the left. Now what? Now we have to, okay, so make it, let's give them padding from both sides so that it's aligned on the center. Okay, so for that, the way I like to do it, there are multiple ways to do it, but the way I like to do it, I like to build a wrapper. Okay, that wrapper will shrink it, will provide padding on both the side, and this thing will be achieved. So let's try to do this. So the wrapper, I will add here a class. I will call it, what I will call it, a side wrapper. Now I can use that class side wrapper, and what I will do is, so the padding on both sides should be 40 pixel. Okay, yes. So a side wrapper padding will be 40 pixel on right and left, but not on the top and bottom. So top and bottom 0, left and right 40 pixel. So that's what it is. It should be. Let's check this out. And there we go. It added the space on both the side, but it also increased the size of the width of this sidebar. Now that is because by default padding is additive in nature. Whatever padding you add, it will be added to the entire width or the size. So in order to overcome that, what we do is we set box sizing to border box. Now what border box will do, it won't allow any padding to be added to the entire width. Okay, now you see that now it's back to the original size, but we also have the padding on both sides. Okay, that's great. Now next what we need to do is, let's see, let's first actually provide the sizes, the font sizes. This I think will be 32 pixel. By default it's not 32 pixel because, yeah, font size I have added. So let's give it a, this one as class of logo text, and use it over here, logo text font size 32 pixel. So font size is 32 pixel, and for these li I think it's 18 pixel. So li I will add font size 18 pixel, and yeah, we also need to space them between each other. Li should have some space between each other, right? So for that I will add 20 pixel of space. So padding on the li will be 20 pixel top and bottom, but nothing on the left and right. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Now the one thing that I want to do is align them vertically, like it's over here, and then we have this thing, and then we have this thing. So we can do this with flex. So how I'm going to do that? Well, flex aligns things horizontally, but it can also align things vertically. So what I will do is I will give it these, give the entire aside a display of flex, and then I'll change the direction to column. Okay, so that then it will be shown like this. Okay, let's do that. So aside, okay, there we have a side. Let's give it a display of flex. And okay, let's see that first, because I know things are going to get very ugly. Okay, so now if we make it to direction, if we change the direction to column, because right now by default the direction is row, if we change it to column, we'll have our thing back. So flex direction column, there we have it. Okay, now we know that justify content is used for horizontal direction, but here we change the direction itself. So now it will be used for vertical direction, and for that also we have explained it very well in our curriculum how that works. So if I just quickly go through the flexbox lesson, you will see that we have it, and we have live interactive examples also where you can actually play around with the with how things work. So let's just look at the example quickly. Yeah, you see, if it's row, which is by its default, justify content will align the horizontal direction and align items the vertical direction. But if you change the column, now the justify content will align the vertical items, and align item will do the job for horizontal alignment. So that's how it works. And yeah, we have these interactive pieces to work with. So right now it's block. If you change it to flex, you see how it works. So you can play around and have fun learning. Okay, moving on. Okay, now yeah. So justify content, which right now will align the vertical thing, because now I have changed the direction. So justify content, I will say space. See, space between what it will do the job, but I'm kind of looking to have space around, so that I also have some space on top and bottom. Space around. Okay. Yep. Now that looks pretty cool. But let's change the font. So the font of the entire app, want font family to be sans serif. And serif looks good. Yeah. Now that is amazing. Awesome. That works. Okay, let's go ahead. You see, there is no change at all over here. It's exactly the same, and that is really amazing. So let's go ahead now. And now what we actually need to achieve is this toggle thing. This is the main thing over here, but it's very easy. Don't worry about it at all. Okay, so let's do this. First we need to have this hamburger. So of course the hamburger, okay, we need to look at font awesome. What is the icon's name? Okay, or just, or we can just check it over here. Okay, it's right over here. So it's bars, it's bars. Okay, so let's just add it. So where do we actually add it? So I will add it because it's horizontal, it's aligned horizontally with qpay. I will just use it over here, and for that reason I will add it to span. It will be added to span, and I will use the I, okay, with class FAS FA bars. Yep, FAS and FA bars, and also I'll give it a custom class name, sidebar toggle. Okay, now with that in position, let's check out what we have. Boom. Where does this arrow come from? Okay, Here we have it, and yeah, that's nice. Okay, so now we need to position it over here so that when we click on it and the sidebar is closed, we still have it over here so that we can open the sidebar again. If we have it inside the sidebar, we'll click it, it will close, and we will have no way to open the sidebar again, right? So we need to this to be present over there even if the sidebar closes. Okay, so to do that, I want it to be relative to this. Okay, so I'll set this as relative and the hamburger as absolute so that it's relative to qpay, the h1, and it doesn't move anywhere no matter what we do with the page. Even no matter how much I resize the page, it won't go anywhere. So let's actually do that. So we have it with the name of sidebar toggle. Toggle, toggle, and of course we need to give it the position of absolute, and from top I think we have to give it a 5 pixel, top 5 pixel. Now as it is absolute on the x-axis, so I can give it the top and right or anything like that. Okay, what? Oh, all right. Because you see, in order to for absolute to work, absolute positioning always works in relative to the closest parent, which is position of which is set to relative. So right here, the relative position is set. Which element will have the relative position by default? So it's of course the body element. So it's in relative to that it took the 5 pixel from top. So we need to make the logo text this one as relative. So position relative. Now we have it right over there. And from the left, I need to give it some things so that it's just aligned over right over here. It it lies, it rests there. So left, I'll say 205 pixel. Okay, it is there. It is there, but the background is not set, so we can't see it. So let's just set the background to blue violet, and okay, cool. But what is the padding? Because we have to set it like exactly the same. Now let's give it a border radius, 8 pixel. So what border radius will do, it will add this curve effect on the sides of this. Yeah, there we have it. That's really looking great. Okay, all right, that's awesome. Now we have this last thing left with the sidebar. Okay, let's just do this thing. Okay, so on hover, it is bold. So what is that? Li side dual li hover, and I will say that make the font weight bold. Okay, there we go. Have that same effect. Now the last thing left for the this sidebar is this box shadow effect. This small shadow on this sidebar actually makes it looks like it's actually above the page, and here it looks like it's just lying there. It's just on the same z axis, but it's not. So let's just add that box shadow. So we will add that box shadow on a side right here. So box shadow will have 3 pixel, 1 pixel, 5 pixel, 0 pixel, and the color we want. So I want red 0, green 0, blue 0, and alpha, which is basically the opacity. I will add it as 0.75. There we have it. You see this. Let's move ahead, and what are we left with? So now we're left with only one functionality, making it open and close. Now how do you achieve that without JavaScript? So first let me just make the cursor over here to a pointer, so that when I hover on it, it's a pointer. And the same for li, cursor pointer. Okay, all right. Now let's click on it. Nothing is happening. So how do we actually do it? So for that, now pay attention over here. I will add one input. Okay, input type will be checkbox. Okay, that's right. And then I will add, I will give this one an ID of, let's say, um, toggler, and over here I'll have to add a label around the around the hamburger. That's right. See, without label it won't work, and the for attribute for label should match the ID attribute of the input, which is toggler. Okay. Now what should happen, because we have attached the input with this label, whatever inside this label is, and the for attribute for toggler, for attribute for label is same as ID attribute for toggler, we should be able to have, where, okay, here we have this input, we can check it, uncheck it, but because this is the label, okay, and because we have attached it with it, its ID and its for attribute is same, we should be able to toggle the checkbox from here. So if I click on it, you see I am able to check and uncheck the input without even touching it, just by attaching it with some other element. So I wrapped this hamburger in a label and gave it a for attribute which matches the ID attribute of this input. And just by clicking over here, I can check it or uncheck it. Now that's awesome. So now we have to make this input hidden. We actually don't want this input, so I will hide it. I will just display none. I will just set the display to none. So input display none. It's gone, but it is still there. It's just not being shown on the page, and it's still being checked and unchecked when I click on the hamburger icon. Now what we can do is, I can say that input checked. So this will say that if input is checked, okay, it will check if input is checked or not. So, and if it is checked, what you do, we use this symbol, I don't know what it's called, but you'll find it on the left, top left of your keyboard. So if the input is checked, what you have to do is you go to the aside, okay, go to the aside, and aside is already absolutely positioned. We can make it move left and right, and move it to left by minus 250 pixel, because that's the width of the aside, okay, or you can move it to right by 250 pixel. And now if I say this, you see it's gone, it's moved 250 pixel to the right, and as it is not on the normal flow of the page, rest of the page is completely fine, there is nothing wrong, you see. And that's how you design a check, sidebar toggler. Okay, yeah, that's right. And remember that your input should always be above your label, because if you put this input below your label or inside the aside tag which actually needs to move, it won't work. You see, I'm actually clicking it, but it's not working. So you have to keep the input above your label and outside of the element which you want to move, which is in our case outside of this aside. So with that at its place, we have our sidebar completely functional, working, and completely designed right over here. And what happens when we load this page? The sidebar by default is closed, but in our case, when we reload the page, the sidebar by default is open. So how can we close it? So the CSS says that if it is checked, then keep it closed, because you move it just to the left by 250 pixel by its entire width. So if it is checked, then it is closed, because then it is moved entirely to the left. So let's check it by default. So input you can give a attribute checked, which will make it checked by default. Okay, so now you see it's closed by default. And if I just show you the input, if I don't display it, if I set its display to not none, you see it's over here, and you can actually toggle the sidebar with this one, with this input. Okay, and that's what actually is happening over here. But as we have attached the this toggler with that input, so in place of that input, this toggler do the job. Now set it back to none. Boom, we have our sidebar completely functional and no problem at all. So that was how you build this sidebar, and that's an amazing stuff right there. And mind that this page is completely responsive no matter how much you resize your browser. You see, at this position we have some spaces on the left and right, which is fine, and as you go down those spaces are filled. Okay, and then the more you go down, these two cards will come on top of each other. Okay, so that it's good and it does not actually destroy our UI. Okay, no matter how much you go down, you will absolutely be fine. This is completely responsive. And the table also, if you go down to a limit, you will see that a scroll bar, horizontal scroll bar is added to the table, so that we can scroll and see in the mobile version. And you see it's completely responsive. Let's go to the smallest screen that's available here, and probably I think available in the world. Okay, so here we have it. You see, and here is our toggler sidebar. So that is completely responsive. So in this video we built the sidebar, and in next video we are going to build, okay, where is this space coming from? Okay, that was a glitch. All right, we have it. We built the sidebar completely functional, and in the next video we will be building the main page and making it responsive. All right, and then in further videos we will also be writing or configuring a blog page for this invoice web page only, and we will be configuring it to have a good on page SEO, right? Because we know that this channel Vision Mad is about marketing and business for web developers. So we built this, which is not the hard part. We will now move on to SEO once we build the main home page and make it responsive.